Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining the Cybersecurity Town Hall for 2022 in celebration of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I have joining me today McIntosh, the Vice President of Information Services and CIO, and I am John Kraft, the Director of Information Security at the University of Richmond, and really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and hopefully this will be an informative, fun event. We want to make this interactive and allow everyone to have their input and ask questions so that we can answer them. So anything you can think of related to cybersecurity that you've been curious about or wanting to know about how we operate, or at University of Richmond, or just in general, something at your home, for example, if you've got a question about that, feel free to ask that question. So during this presentation and during this session, we're going to start out with a kind of a fun question period, and we will be giving away prizes for people who give us correct answers. So as we ask the questions, you'll see the questions on the screen, and we will ask you to provide your answer through the Q&A panel in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And the first person that gives us the correct answer to the question will win a prize, which will be drawn from this orange bowl. And we've got a pretty decent selection of things to give away, including t-shirts and a couple of nice fleeces, a really nice backpack, and a wireless charging station. So hopefully, good luck, everyone. Hopefully you've got your thinking caps on.
Competition.
Yeah. So to start with, we're going to go through really for Cybersecurity Awareness Month this year. We've decided to focus on 4 areas, and that is multi-factor authentication, passwords and password managers, software updates, and then phishing awareness. And each week you've seen we've been sending out some spider bites about that, some communications focused on those areas. And we've had some social media items going out, as well as digital flyers on the billboards around campus. So if you haven't seen any of that, take a look at those areas, and you should be able to see them out there. But today we're going to focus on multi-factor authentication, password managers, and software updates as part of this presentation. But we are more than happy to talk about phishing if you have any questions related to phishing later on in the QA session.
And John, I think it also might be good to inform the group that what we're doing tomorrow. It's nice to get a little plug in for that.
Definitely, thank you, Mac. Tomorrow we are hosting the Cybersecurity Awareness Fair in the Hellman Dining Center.
You have to slow down there.
Yeah, you have to. And we will have 2 tables set up there with workstations where you can type in your password to see how strong that password is, how long it would, in theory, take to crack your password. That's always a fun event. We'll have a station set up so that you can test to see how susceptible you are to phishing. And then we will have another workstation set up so that you can test or you can register for LastPass for the password management application that we offer to everyone. So when you go to the dining center tomorrow, look for us. We will be in the red t-shirts, as you can see Mac and I are wearing. That says "Do Your Part, Be Cyber Smart" on it, and we do have the Richmond Spider on the back.
You can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So look for the folks wearing the red t-shirts and come over and say hi. We will have flyers and information at the tables, and be more than happy to talk to you about any cybersecurity related questions or problems you may have, as well as get you signed up for LastPass. We can answer any questions you might have related to Duo. If you haven't opted into Duo multi-factor yet, that'd be a great time for you to do that. We'll be happy to assist you right then and there at the table if you need that, and we will have some candy. So lots of good reasons to stop by.
They're properly incentivized now, John.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So we are going to go ahead and get this kicked off, but as we go through this presentation, please go ahead and start entering your questions in. We will be queuing those up, and then we'll take those after we get through the little quiz section that we're going to be giving out some prizes and such. So the first theme that we are going to discuss is multi-factor authentication. And multi-factor authentication is one of the most important security controls that you can enable for both your university and your personal accounts, because it makes it exponentially more difficult for a bad actor to be able to hack into your account. Essentially, if you're not using multi-factor authentication, all they do have to do is guess your password in most cases. And a lot of places don't even disable your or disable your account if you have too many incorrect guesses or passwords. So someone could set up a script and they would just constantly be trying to crack into your account using guessed passwords. But by enabling that multi-factor, that adds an extra step that the bad actor would need to do have to be able to access your account. And generally, that is going to be something that it's not a password. It's going to be something associated either with you as a person or something that you possess. So multi-factor is something that is extremely advisable for everyone to enable and make sure that you're using to protect your accounts. Here at University of Richmond, we are using Duo, and we have set up an opt-in portal for anyone who has not enabled Duo for their email account yet. So if you have not registered that, you can go to duo.richmond.edu/opt-in. That's OPT-IN to opt into Duo multi-factor for email. I highly encourage you to do that if you have not already done so as quickly as possible.
I got a couple questions for you, John.
Sure.
So the one question is, if we do multi-factor authentication, why do we need a password?
Because you multi-factor means it's two factors. So even if you have a password app on your phone, or you have like a FIDO authentication key that you would plug into your computer, that's just one of those factors. You would still have to have another. Now, if you're using an application that supports two separate factors, then possibly like a fingerprint reader and a FIDO key separately, I think that you could probably argue that a password wouldn't be required for that application. But if you're not, if your application doesn't, which the vast majority don't support two of those other factors, password is going to be one of those factors because it's something you know. It's something only you should know, because you should never share your passwords.
And one other thought I was thinking about, we talk about this, and you said it at the beginning of the conversation, that what we're talking about here today is both beneficial for you as an employee or professional here at the University of Richmond, but also in your personal life. Would you recommend multi-factor authentication in our personal accounts as well?
Definitely, because the bad actors are actually they want to take advantage of the personal users, because they generally have less controls in place and less security infrastructure to protect those accounts. So generally, if they can trick someone into giving them access to your personal banking account or something along those lines, it's a little bit of a lower bar of entry for them.
And also, I'm thinking that most people, if they're like me and my family, we have multiple accounts, personal accounts, and sometimes, we hit the lazy button and we use a similar password, if not the same password, in multiple accounts. What are your thoughts there?
Password reuse is a real issue, and that is one of the reasons why we do recommend password managers, because it allows you to create a strong, unique password for every account. Because if one password gets compromised and you're reusing that password, all the accounts that use that password are now at risk. Great. So now we will be going to some questions here and some prize drawings. So
we'll see how close people are paying attention.
Here is question number one. What are the three primary factors used for multi-factor authentication? And we'll give folks a few seconds to type in your answers.
This is one of those times where we should have had some theme music playing in the background as folks were thinking.
Well, I think we have a winner. Bess, good job. You want to draw?
Wow, sorry about that, Robin. The Fest beat you out just by a few seconds. So I'm going to try to make this random and see what we have. And the winner, we have Bess gets a T-shirt.
So
All
Bess,
right.
you will be getting one of these nice, beautiful red T-shirts with the blue spider on the back.
Congratulations, Bess.
Congratulations.
And Robin, congratulations you as well. You did get it correct.
Question number 2. So this. There we go. Oh, there was the goodness. I'm
If somebody was paying attention, they might be able to get the next question, John.
Yeah,
That was the
exactly.
only thing.
Yeah, I got a little click happy there. I'm sorry. So the answer is something you know, something you have, and something you are. So the next question is, according to studies, what percentage of credential compromises can MFA prevent? Congratulations, Robin. You got the correct answer.
I think Robin was paying attention to that preview that you
Yes.
gave everybody, and Robin probably had that cued in. It was ready to go
Yeah.
right away. But congratulations to you too, Robin. Let me see what Robin is.
Yes.
Trying to randomize this, mix it up. I'm not gonna look. This looks like this might be a little different. Uh-oh.
Whoa.
You got a backpack. Way to go, Robin.
Nice.
Backpack. Is that backpack around? Let me write that out.
Yeah, let me write that. Let me show you the backpack. It's a really nice Targus backpack that is made to transport a laptop as well. Really high quality. So congratulations. And by the way, we'll put out that tomorrow. If you are a prize winner, you're welcome to come to the IT trailers on the tennis courts to pick them up, or you can definitely stop by the cybersecurity fair tomorrow, and we will have your prize waiting for you there. Question number 3. What MFA service does University of Richmond use? Congratulations, Holly. You won got that one right.
Very nicely done, Holly. Let's see what Holly wins. Don't look, Matt. Don't look. Let's just pull up something random.
Correct answer, of course.
And she wins a T-shirt. Congratulations, Holly. No, we hadn't planned for this, but what are some other 2 factors that maybe people could use in their personal lives? Is it, you know, of others?
Sure. So a lot of it's dependent on the application. So different applications support different types of factors. So the virtually all of them support a password. But some applications use what are called 2-step, which they have 2 passwords, which it's not nearly as effective as multi-factor authentication, but it's still better than single password authentication. So you'll see a lot of banks that have used that because it was less expensive and it was easier to adopt, and that's why they did it. So essentially, you just have to know 2 things about the person in order to access their account. But other things that you can use, they sell FIDO keys. If the application supports a FIDO key, you can buy those off of Amazon. And that plugs into your USB port on your computer, and you have to physically have that key in order to access the application as well as a password. Or biometrics, because some FIDO keys have a little thumbprint reader on them, where you can insert it and then you have to put your thumbprint on it in order to access the application. So you can use that instead of even knowing a password if the application supports that technology.
And just so we can speak as plain as English as possible, you've heard the FIDO key quite a bit.
Yes.
What's a FIDO key?
FIDO key is
Does FIDO stand for something?
Yes, it is, and I cannot think of the name off the top of my head. Bob, do you have that?
Maybe Bob can look that up while we continue to talk.
I will check your webinar.
Okay, great. That is.
Authenticator app. Thank you for putting options.
Oh yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Bob.
But FIDO is a standard that was developed and shared amongst corporations like Apple, Microsoft, and Google. They all signed on board to it, but it is for a hardware-based authentication key.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So far, people have been paying really good attention. and
Yes.
they've been very quick-handed. Looking
Okay.
forward to see what kind of questions we're going to have in the future.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. Let's see. So next topic is take a look here. Passwords and password managers.
Mhm.
So password managers. So first of all, passwords. So we've been talking a lot about passwords now as part of multi-factor authentication, but you generally want to have a very strong password. You want it to be unique. You want it to have a wide variety of characters,
Mhm.
and you want it to be long because you want strength. Now, generally, when it comes to passwords, I recommend passphrases if you can do it,
What's a
because
passphrase, John?
a passphrase is generally a much longer password. So,
Can you give an example of what a passphrase
a
is?
passphrase might be, um, "We are sitting in a conference room."
All right.
So, I mean, you've got about 50 characters there,
Mhm.
and that would be something that you would enter in each time you want to do it, and it just makes your it's essentially just a very long password.
Right. And does longer help with the complexity?
It does. Well, it doesn't help necessarily with the complexity in terms of having special characters and numbers,
Okay.
but it's just the sheer length of it. So, from a cryptographic standpoint, it makes it exponentially more difficult. The larger the number of characters, even though you don't have those unique characters in there, you're still just making it extremely long, and it makes it that much more difficult and computationally intensive in order to try to crack it. So, a passphrase. So if I had, let's say, a 10 character password and I had 4 different character types and capitals and weird characters in that password, that would still be easier to crack than if I had a 50 character password only using uppercase and lowercase letters.
That's good to know.
Yes.
That's really good to know.
So, so having that, but it would be even better if I had a 50 character password with
And
characters and
characters.
numbers and upper and lowercase characters. So by um, by being able to use a password manager, you get that capability off the bat because password managers support automatically generating strong, complex characters. And you can go into your settings, usually in most of the password managers, and you can say, well, I want all of my passwords, my randomly generated passwords, to have X number of characters. And now, certain applications, especially some of the older applications out there, have a character limit on that.
Yeah.
So you might have to adjust things if you're using an older application. But most modern applications support passwords up to generally around 256 characters.
That's interesting to know. But
Yeah.
some folks might go, "Oh my gosh, 256 characters feels like a lot."
Yeah.
But you could use a passphrase.
Mhm.
I've often told friends and family that you could take your favorite whatever or random text from a book.
Yeah.
You could take a passage from the Bible or whatever religious text you might follow, or certain songs that you like, or things of that nature, things that that you will remember, and use those phrases and have a certain length. And then I think what you suggested, I think is really good to really make it random, is you make the changes in where there's special characters in that passphrase.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And try to avoid things associated with common characteristics that's easy to find out about yourself if you do that, because you want to avoid spouse and children's names. You want to avoid birth dates because all of those are generally public records
What schools you went to.
what schools you went to.
Right.
Those are all free game. And if somebody is really targeting you and they're doing the research, they're going to build what is called a password dictionary, and they can go through and they will just find out all of this information, the streets that you've lived on, the street names, your address. They will do in-depth research on you, and they can build that password dictionary and have maybe 5 or 10,000 passwords. And for most cracking applications, that takes about 10 seconds to run. So just keep that in mind. So you want to try to avoid common things that are publicly known about you when generating a password.
Good to know.
But password managers are great tools. I highly recommend them because I was asked this question the other day, and I thought it was interesting. It's like, well, how effective is a password manager? Why not just use the built-in password manager that's in most browsers nowadays, because all your modern browsers have a password manager
Yeah,
function,
that's generally
Chrome,
important.
Safari,
Yep.
Edge. Those are not bad. Those are okay, but the issue is that they're not portable. If you're using a password manager, it's going to be something like a LastPass or a Dashlane or something along those lines. It's something you can install across multiple platforms, and it's available for you on all of those platforms. So you're not tied to using a single browser. You're not tied to using a single device. You can carry it with you wherever you.
Much more portable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a great thing. So now to the next series of questions. Oh, and actually to your question before, Bob, thank you for looking that up. Fast Identity Online is FIDO.
Yeah. I know we have a tendency in IT to toss around a lot of acronyms and it becomes part of our nomenclature, but for the everyday folks and those who are attending, FIDO doesn't mean the doggone thing. Maybe it's the name of their dog, perhaps, you know, so I think it's good. Fast Identity Online. Thank you, Bob.
So now.
So password managers though.
Yes.
Do we as employees have access to password manager?
Yes, we do. And
Does it cost me anything or is that going to come up later?
We'll talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So now to the next question. What is the name of the official password manager offered through the University of Richmond?
Dun, dun, dun. Marion was the first person.
Yes.
So is who? Is there somebody? Oh, Michael. Oh, no, wait a minute. So the first for LastPass is Marion.
Yeah, Marion.
So you see something different?
I see Michael and then Marion, but you have Marion and Michael on the display.
They must have came in at the same time. So I think we're going to go with the screen that we have in front of us.
Okay.
That way, because that's what we've been doing. So that would be consistent. I randomly grabbed. Sorry about that, Michael. Marion is the winner. But you know what I love is how many people correctly answered the question.
Yes.
Right? Everybody knows. Somebody got the big prize.
The big prize, yes. It is a wireless charger. Well, actually, it's wired and wireless.
Wired and wireless.
It's a portable charger. Oops.
That was Marion.
Yes.
It is a portable USB and wireless charger, complimentary of CrowdStrike. They donated this to us, and it's a very nifty little utility because you can plug your phone in, or you can just set your phone on top of it, and it will charge it.
Really, as somebody that just made a purchase of one of these, and I know how much they cost, the fact that this is light and it has a great capacity. Wow.
Yes.
That's very functional. You could carry that around with you all day.
Very, very nice. So congratulations.
Way to go, Marion.
So LastPass, what was that?
I want to get Marion's last name and you can
just show his guess.
Okay.
Marion, if you could enter your last name into the screen, that would be great.
Best. I love that. You have one comment that says it gets heavier as you charge it.
Yes. But back to the LastPass. So you were asking, do we recommend one? LastPass is definitely something that we do recommend, and it is free for use. LastPass Premium. So LastPass has two levels of service that we can take advantage of here at the University of Richmond. We have LastPass Enterprise, which is the password manager that you use for your University of Richmond accounts. So that if you want to use LastPass with University of Richmond applications, you can go onto Spider TechNet and submit a request for an enterprise account, and we will get that set up for you. And we highly encourage you to do it because it's great. It's very useful. I use it. It's a great tool, and it allows me to have really strong, unique passwords for all of our applications that we use here on campus, and I don't have to keep them memorized.
And is it just tied to my professional accounts?
The enterprise account is tied to your professional account, but
I can use it How?
But you can also sign up for a premium account as
Okay.
part of this. So the enterprise account is something that's managed and maintained by the University of Richmond. However, all active students, faculty, and staff have access to LastPass Premium as a benefit as well, which is a paid for service, but you get that as a free benefit through the university. And that account is tied to your personal email address. So you can use that personally and across all your devices. And if for whatever reason you were to leave the University of Richmond,
You
which
still keep that.
you get to keep that and take that with you. Now, you would be responsible for paying any additional fees associated with that from the point that you left,
Right.
which there's an annual fee associated with that. But while you are with the University of Richmond, you can use that for free. It's a great utility. It's a great benefit that you can use to secure all of your accounts.
And now some folks might have a little big brother issue going there, like the LastPass and IT. You know, if I'm going to put all my passwords in here, I have all this complexity. Who can see it?
On a LastPass premium account, we cannot see that. The university cannot see any of your personal passwords. So if you set up that LastPass premium account, we cannot see that data. We can reset the accounts, and that's but see, that's one thing about LastPass. LastPass can't even see your passwords.
That's good
It's
to know.
all managed through. It's all encrypted by you, and it's encrypted with a what is called their master key that only you know, and it's a strong, unique password that you maintain,
Mhm.
and you have to know that key to unlock any of the passwords in your vault, because the only data that LastPass has is encrypted using that master key, and um, uh, they can't see, so they can't even recover it. So if you forget that master key, we have to reset that account for you.
Because I was going to ask the question, well, what happens if, you know, you have this one master key and get it?
Right.
Say just call out. And the same thing would work if I was on my premium side. I would probably just have to go direct to LastPass.
There is a process. We do have documentation on how you can reset that one as
Okay,
well.
that's great.
So LastPass is definitely a great utility that you can use, and we do highly encourage that. Question number 5. Approximately what percentage of hacks are performed or lost with lost or stolen passwords?
Now this would be interesting because we didn't tip our hand, we didn't preview anybody. And then since Kim asked the question, is it true for students as well? And that is true for all faculty and staff and students. So wait a minute. We have 100%, we have 40%, we have 50%, we have 99.59%. Some people are gaming the system by entering a comment multiple responses.
Yeah,
This is not like The Price is Right, where you can kind of just
no,
$1.
one guess. Yeah,
Yeah, one guess.
nobody's gotten it yet.
So keep going.
Keep going.
And I will say that some of you are over and some of you are under the number.
We did have a question as to what happens to the premium account when a student graduates.
Well, they can take that premium account with them. So the question was, let me repeat that one time. What happens to the LastPass premium account when a student graduates? That premium account can go with you when you graduate. Any fees associated with that, it would just be disassociated with anything related to U of R, and you would just assume that the responsibility for paying and the upkeep on that account. So nothing would change in the account. You wouldn't lose any of that. You wouldn't have to remove it or go to a different password manager. You would just maintain that account with your private address, and you can add different email addresses to your account and different associations, so you can make adjustments to that LastPass premium account. You're the administrator for that account, so it is a LastPass premium account, and you can make changes and administer that password as needed, or that account is needed.
Well, we're giving good answers, and I just don't know,
And
you know,
we
so we
do
know
have
the
a correct.
number. We do have it correct. I want to make sure that
Yes.
was the first correct. I think that is the first
I
correct.
believe so. Yes,
All right.
and that is Michael Dickerson.
All right. And Michael has come in close a couple times, I believe. But this time Michael does.
Yeah, according to the Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report from 2020, 80%.
80%. And Michael, you get a t-shirt. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
Yeah. No excuses yet.
No, yeah, everybody's waiting for that fleece, right?
Yeah.
Have we have a couple of
We
those?
get two of
We
them.
got
Yeah.
two fleeces, right?
Yeah. And how often must you change your University of Richmond password? This is policy knowledge time.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sure there's somebody that says too often. We have yearly, annually. I think we have a winner with Holly Clark.
Thank
Way to go,
yeah.
Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
And ooh, these two are stuck together. And Holly, you win a t-shirt. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Fast forward to another question.
No, that's the same question. It was the policy said it's annually, but it's 360 to 370 days.
That's right.
Just it's a little bit of variance thing.
All right. Doing well.
Yep. So, the next topic that we're going to talk about is updating your software. So, keeping your software and your devices up to date is critically important to maintaining your well, not only enterprise but personal cybersecurity posture, because vulnerabilities are out there every day. I'm sure that you see news items every single day about this company has announced that they have a vulnerability in X product, whether it's Apple or Microsoft or Google. They're always coming out with something, and some of those vulnerabilities are worse than others. Some of them receive a lot more headlines than others, and so it can always be overwhelming sometimes. In all honesty, I mean, how do you keep up with all this? Because we all have so many different types of devices. We have PCs, we have Macs, we have
tablets,
iPhones, Androids, tablets, all these devices. How do you keep up to date on these things? I mean, it can be a little daunting sometimes, as well as identifying those vulnerabilities and knowing where your risk lies. Because if for example, if you're all completely invested in the Apple or the Microsoft ecosystem and they have a lot of vulnerabilities related to something that affects all their devices, you have a lot more risk than somebody who may only have one device or no devices from that platform. So there's a level of awareness that you have to have out there of maintaining these devices. But the good news is that most devices have the capability to support auto updates. And that's something that I recommend that everyone do. By default, you should have, and a lot of devices are doing this nowadays. They come with auto updates enabled by default. So, some don't. Some of the older devices didn't as well. But I do recommend that you leave that enabled unless you have a really good reason not to. And it's really hard for me to think of a reason nowadays that you wouldn't want to do that. I think um, before there was a level of risk associated with updates. I haven't seen that. I think that companies have gotten a lot better in recent years with really doing thorough QA testing of their software and not releasing updates before they were ready and fully baked. But nowadays, nowadays I have a pretty good confidence level. I don't see very often where a company releases an update and it breaks a lot of things. Now that's on the personal level. On the enterprise level, I still advise you wait just a little bit, and make sure you do your pilot testing. Of course, we have to do that because we have a lot more considerations. But on our personal devices, it's usually pretty safe to enable, and I do recommend that. And it's also important if you don't have that, you want to update as quickly as you can after something is released, after an update is released, because nowadays you have what are called botnets on the internet that they are just constantly probing for vulnerable systems for various vulnerabilities that are out there, and they strike indiscriminately. So you may find that if you don't patch your iPhone or your Android device and you visit a certain website, that device is going to be compromised. It's going to be right away. Another thing with software updates that I recommend is to not install any sort of update unless it is from the actual software developer.
What do you mean by that, John?
So if somebody's saying, "Hey, I have a software update to fix this vulnerability of the vulnerability of the day," come to my website and download this file and install it. And or if it's some sort of driver file saying, hey, do you need help getting your NVIDIA video card working? Download my driver file. Don't do that, because while there's a small chance that they may be legitimate, the vast majority of times that's how they spread malicious software, and they try to get you to install it in an administrative context, which means they're trying to get you to install it with an administrative account on your system. And once that's there, the software can they can pretty much take control of your machine. Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas if you're downloading it and installing it directly from the software vendor's website, like Apple or Microsoft or whatever the mechanism is that they have it available, like the Play Store or the iTunes Store, that's going to ensure that you're getting it from the vendor. You can have a reasonable level of assurance that they're vetting their software and no malware is creeping into it. Not going to say that that could never happen, because it has happened once or twice, where software vendors have had malware injected into their update code. But generally, you're going to be pretty safe by doing that. So you're much safer going that route than trusting Jim Bob's update check for your drivers.
Gotcha. Really good point.
So, question number 7 of we're almost on the end. This is the last subject matter, so we got a few more chances to win some prizes here. So, what do you call a vulnerability that has been exploited before it is disclosed to the public?
Yeah, I think we have a hand going up inside the room, but he is supposed to know the answer. That's a good answer, but not the answer we're looking for.
Yeah.
Keep trying. I think somebody else has just put in an answer. Oh,
That's correct.
We have a winner. And Fess.
Congratulations, Fess.
Fess is a multi-winner.
Yes.
Fess. We got that question from Mario.
Okay. Hey, we do have another question. So does being behind, for example, a Verizon provided router at home add a layer of protection against bots patrolling for vulnerabilities?
That's a good question.
The short answer is maybe. It depends on how your router is configured. If the router has a firewall built in and it's not allowing incoming traffic by default, which it should be, you would have a general level of protection against that, yes, because you would have to explicitly allow that botnet traffic to be able to enter into your network. If it does not have any sort of traffic filtering or filtering capability built into it, then no, you would not be protected against a botnet, because they would be able to communicate with any hosts on the network behind that router. So hopefully that answers your question.
And I'm sure Fess is like, that's great. Could you tell me what I won?
Sorry, Fess.
That's okay, Fess. Appreciate your patience. You are the first winner of a fleece. Congratulations, Fess.
Very nice fleece. It's a fleece with a hoodie. Complimentary compliments of CrowdStrike again. Very nice fleece. So congratulations.
All right. One fleece down. There's still one fleece left to go.
Yes.
Thank you, Fess.
There is the answer. Sorry, I didn't get to that slide yet. Okay, next question. What important settings should you enable for your devices to always keep them updated?
Drum roll, please. Didn't we just kind of discuss that?
There we go.
Wilbur.
Yes,
Wilbur.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Quick on the draw they are, and I see a t-shirt for Wilbur.
Hey, congratulations. He's already got one, but that's good. He can have
Does
two. He can have two now. No, he's because he is part of our committee. He will be at the dining hall tomorrow morning answering security questions at our table. So he will be one of the red t-shirt gang down there tomorrow.
So in essence, maybe we could go to the next person. We could make that Wilbur is going to have a t-shirt already, right?
Yeah. We'll see if we can get. Well, I've got something else maybe for you, Wilbur.
All right. We'll go with that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll take care of you, Wilbur.
Yeah, I see that, Wilbur. I appreciate that. I think he's logged in for the police.
Yeah. Yeah. So answer is auto update. And I didn't point out, we do have the links down here. If you have any questions, we are recording this and we'll share this. If you have any questions about any of the answers, we have the links, unless it's something that's just common knowledge, like the 0-day question. And question number 9, from what sources should you download updates? I think it's Michael. Yeah, Michael Dickerson, I think you got the answer right. I'll accept manufacturer. The answer is the software publisher.
And Michael gets a
Fleece.
He gets the other fleece. Congratulations, Michael.
Fleece number 2. Very nice.
Got another question.
And we do have one bonus question. I didn't want to leave it at 9 questions. I wanted to round it out at an even 10. So what University of Richmond email address should you forward a suspected phishing email to?
And it's not Keith McIntosh at richmond.edu.
And we have a correct answer. Kim Edwards, congratulations.
Gets the last prize. Kim, you get a t-shirt. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congrats.
All right.
So now comes the kind of the open question session. We wanted this to be a town hall. I wanted to start out kind of with some fun activities, give away some prizes. And now we're going to open the floor to any questions anybody has regarding cybersecurity. And
similar to the ones they've been asking already, but I think those are really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have any other questions, now's the time to ask them, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Between the two of us.
If we can't answer it, we'll get back to you.
Do we have any questions queued up?
Covered all of them.
Covered them all. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate the compliment.
Here we go. So question number 1. How do you feel about NIST not requiring password expiration?
And NIST is what?
That is the National Institute of Standards and Technology.
And they are important because they kind of set the
bar when it comes to controls that are recommended for secure operations and infrastructures.
So they set guidance, we follow that guidance.
They do. NIST is pretty much the recognized authority on setting cybersecurity guidance throughout the country. They set it for the federal government. That's what all of the federal government uses to establish their security baselines and configurations. And we also follow NIST here at the University of Richmond because it is a best practice and highly recommended. So, but great question, Fess. So NIST recently did remove the requirement for password expiration because they are seeing that changing the password on a regular basis, unless you have really strong controls, which most organizations don't, around password reuse and password history, people tend to reuse those passwords. That's one factor. But they also, it generates more support issues and trouble. People try to set something really easy. It's harder. They want something that if it's going to be changing frequently, they got to remember it. And it detracts from the security message overall. I think it's less beneficial to require frequent password changes. It's detrimental to most organizations and users. It makes them a little more hostile towards cybersecurity changes and initiatives, to be quite honest.
Maybe in some places a little bit more than a little more.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And it really does not add overall to your security, because especially now that more organizations are adopting multi-factor authentication, it's becoming less of a factor. eventually, I would love to see us go passwordless at some point in the future. No guarantees, but
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is a move to go passwordless right now. Apple, Google, and Microsoft have all joined into an initiative to start promoting passwordless environments for their applications. And it is leveraging tools like FIDO and multi-factor authentication and biometrics to be able to enforce that. And as well as behavioral analytics, if you have that capability, which behavioral analytics is
A whole nother level.
is a whole nother level, but just briefly, that is something where if I know that Matt comes into the office every day and he's there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if I suddenly start seeing him sign in at 2 a.m. every morning, something's a little odd. I'm going to raise some red flags, and I may deny some of those requests. So that's kind of where there's going. Some artificial intelligence and behavioral analytics are going into that. So NIST is forward-looking in a lot of these cases, and I think that that's a good bit behind that policy change.
So I got a question. I don't know if we have it in the room.
We have 2 more things.
All right. While we're getting ready to go to those, the question I have is, well, let's answer those questions first, and I'll ask my. Michael's got a great question.
Okay, so Michael, a question from Michael Dickerson is, when purchasing a new device, cell phone, laptop, tablet, do you suggest installing all programs from scratch, then logging into each account fresh, or copying things over from the previous device? That is, I think, depending on the device type. So if you're, for example, getting a new iPhone or Android, I think you're pretty safe with copying things over. I don't think you're running at any other risk.
You don't think that the phone could get compromised, and I think that's where that question is coming from. Because you've already had a compromised account and pass it over.
With the caveat that if you're only downloading software from the approved source, like the iTunes Store or Play Store, if that's where all your apps are coming from, if you're downloading things from third-party sources, like if you've jailbroken your iPhone or you're downloading things from different sites for your Android device, then I would recommend doing a fresh install. If you've installed any of these side-loaded apps. But if you're only going through the approved app store, you're generally going to be pretty safe with copying things over. Laptops, however, I recommend doing a fresh start from everything because it's going to perform better. It's mainly from a performance reason, and plus you're usually doing a lot more on a laptop than a mobile device in terms of visiting different types of websites and things like that, where there's the chance of like a drive-by download or something on the device. So I do recommend a fresh install for a laptop.
That gives you a lot more peace of mind and reasonable assurance that you're starting with a clean, protected system, which is really good.
Yeah.
Great question, Michael.
And then Robin asked, when we receive an email with an attachment that we are unsure of and forward that to spam, what happens from that point? Do you investigate these? Great question, Robin. So if it is forwarded to us and it's just a piece of spam mail, like it's a piece of mail that is something that you're unwanted, we inspect that mail to see if we see anything malicious in it. Generally, if we don't see anything malicious in that, we will oftentimes just recommend that you add that to your block sender list and Proofpoint, which Proofpoint is our email security gateway. And we have instructions on Spider TechNet how you can go in and add senders to your block list. If we do see something malicious, then we will certainly reach back out to you. We will investigate that more. We will see who else might have received that mail here on campus, and then we will take any further steps required. If you're the only recipient of that and it was blocked by Proofpoint, like if it had a malicious attachment or if it's a phishing email, for example, we'll reply back to you saying, hey, yes, this is a phishing email. Great job for detecting that. You can delete that mail. But we get many of these every day. Just as a statistic out there, we roughly get about 5,000 phishing and spam attempts per day that hit the Proofpoint mail gateway, and it does a pretty good job of blocking the vast majority of those, but some still slip through. It's unfortunately these guys, these spammers and phishers, they adapt and evolve, and they get better over time. And our technology infrastructure, it's usually based on signatures, and it's looking for characteristics, and sometimes things slip through. But But that is what we do. We do investigate anything that we detect that could be malicious. But there is a lot of non-malicious spam out there too that people get all the time from vendors and things like that. That it's annoying, certainly, but it's not malicious.
It's just junk mail.
It's junk mail, yes. It's like the flyers that people put in your mailbox.
Like we got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
In there?
Yeah.
Or at least one.
How you walk, yeah, that's behavioral. Yeah, that's good.
No. So the question I have
Yes.
is higher education as an issue. We talk about it, and I think sometimes the culture of higher education, I'm not going to say this is taking place at the University of Richmond, but the culture typically, really, why do we have to be so hyper vigilant about cybersecurity? Is higher education even a target? Is it a thing?
Yes, we are definitely a target because higher education and universities, you have to look at it. We're almost like a small city. We have a police force, we have utilities, we have healthcare, we have financial services. All of those are in this. We have people living on campus, residential life.
We're dining.
Dining, yes. We have all of those aspects of what you see outside of the university. It's just on a smaller scale here. So we have access to and process a vast amount of sensitive data for our students, our faculty, our staff, and we have research data on top of that. Which sometimes research data that's kind of like the crown jewels for a bad actor, a criminal organization. If they can get their hands on some sort of cutting edge research, they have a definite desire to get that because that's big money or power if you're a nation state, because nation states are attacking universities as well. So the universities, I think that we are probably in the top tier of targets because while they can seek financial, a lot of times universities aren't targeted necessarily from a financial standpoint. We're targeted from an information standpoint because we have access to all of this. Now, there are folks that will hit universities with ransomware, and we've seen that in the news here. You see it for the past several years, universities getting hit with ransomware. But in general, a lot of the bad actors are looking for that trove of data that most universities have because information is power, and they can either resell that data for more money than they could ever get out of the university potentially, and a lot of times universities can be soft targets in some ways because universities have this culture of open access to information. We want to share the information. That's part of our mission is information dissemination, and they want to leverage that open culture because they know that in some cases you might not have as strong of logical access controls out there between your systems. And if they can find that crack, then they can potentially either do damage or gain access to your databases.
No, thank you for that, John. It's extremely important because I just think that sometimes folks might not understand that we're vulnerable to attacks, and I think the number one way we can protect our systems is through our user base, through our faculty, staff, and students, and raising their level of understanding and awareness. And I think today you did a really fantastic job sharing 3 great ways they can do that. Right?
Great, thank you.
And I think they're going to learn more tomorrow.
Yep. I highly encourage everyone to stop by the cybersecurity fair at the dining hall, and we look forward to seeing you there and talking to you. We'll have some more prizes. We'll have some little activities that you can do and some great information. So thank you all for your time today. We've really enjoyed this. Thank you, Mac, for joining me. I really appreciate your insights.
I'm glad to get here. I got a free t-shirt on it, and I really appreciate your leadership in cybersecurity. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Be smart.